I'm Helium. I'm tired. I just woke up from a nap. And joining me is Blaze, who's hopefully awake.
Wide awake, man. It's been a nice little run here. I've had pulled an all-nighter to try to get myself back on schedule, but little coffee never hurts, and I'm excited to see these two teams in action. Invasion, obviously, they had some issues going up against Immunity earlier on. Any hopes or dreams they had of an ideal world where they would be able to get into that #1 position in the standings here for Starladder are unfortunately dashed away, but nevertheless, they're still here to put up a great fight. I mean, they have obviously a lot of fan supporters, and they want to do them proud. And you know, obviously, this is a bit of a Malaysian showdown, so we'll see who is the top dog between these two. But yeah, it's been an interesting run for both teams. Obviously, neither in contention for that #1 slot, but they still have shown a lot of strength going up against some of the more difficult targets. Arrow, obviously, they have not had as much, like, I would say, strategic direction since Johnny left, since he was doing a lot of drafting for them. And they have had some bad luck with drafters so far. BSG not able to continue playing with them, and then Johnny being not a good fit for the team. Now Mosen takes the helm, and I will say that he's a very good and experienced player, but I just, as far as getting good strategic movement and optimizing, activating DDZ and really making a great use of the team, I still think they have room for growth. So we'll see if they can pull through here, but both of them have a really good chance in my book.
Yeah, and now looking at the draft, we can see where that strategic, the drafting sense for Arrow Gaming, where it is they're going green. They're going green. Actually, both teams are kind of going green. We've got Death Prophet and Tidehunter up for Arrow Gaming thus far. So you've got the armor reduction there from the Gush, just single target, and of course the damage reduction and the AoE damage from your Anchor Smash, and of course that Ravage along with the Exorcism. We can see where it takes them. Looking on the other side of things, though, Invasion Esports, Nature's Prophet, we've been seeing a lot of him today, and usually first or second pick. So along with Invoker, a bit of a zoo strategy there, the Tree Ants, the Forged Spirits, and those bans also going green on those. We've got Viper taken out. He was the first ban, followed by Doom, Tinker, Razor, and now, interestingly enough, we've got, well, the Gyrocopter taken out, and not so interesting, those strong pushing supports to go along with already that strong sort of zoo push. Shadow Shaman and Jakiro now taken out.
Yeah, I need to take those off the board to make sure that the Ghost won't be able to kind of synergize with them a little bit too much. Obviously, they got the first pick, so the second pick is that much more prevalent as far as getting a pushing backbone type hero. I mean, they could still go for something like a Leshrac if they really wanted to, but I mean, the major heroes that push are taken care of for the most part. So other than some French pickups that they provide a decent bit, but they're not going to give them the huge tempo control that Invasion are looking for. They want this Invoker to be very active. In the laning phase, he's not really that kind of a hero. Look at the Death Prophet. He matches okay. He'll get some CS, but he won't dominate the lane, and it's going to be on the side of Invasion as a whole to really give him the time to farm up, get some good levels, and really make the use of those spells. We've seen Ketchikimba play some great Invoker. I think I've also seen FZFC pick it up, but in either case, it's going to be pretty much the core aspect of their lineup. They really need to make sure this Invoker is just going to make his mark on the map, because other than Sunstrikes connecting with Sprouts, they don't have a lot to go on so far in the draft, and they really do need to kind of not only show their global presence, but brute force it when it comes down to Arrow going for that 5-man movement.
Yeah, well, so far, with only 2 picks on the board, there's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of hero synergy. But like you said, Invoker's kind of just focused on winning the lane. He's not going to be like Kachikimba was on the Quap, who was rotating around and just making space all over the map, even though at the end wasn't quite enough. But Invoker with the Cold Snap and maybe some Forged Spirits with the potential for the TP in from off lane, or maybe even a safe lane Nature's Prophet, it could be enough. And now some more picks come out after that Enigma gets banned out there. It's going to be a Wraith King third for Invasion Esports, and once again we're going to see a Lycan let through. It will go over to the side of Arrow Gaming, so pretty strong push. Death Prophet +3 in one lane, and your Lycan in another.
Yeah.
Could be pretty devastating. We'll see how Invasion reacts to that.
I think the biggest weakness of Invasion's draft is the fact that they keep first picking Nature's Prophet. It's really good in Ghost hands, but it shows their strategy so clearly. Unless they want to go for like a safe lane Centaur, they're not going to go for the Stampede play against Lycan. Batrider even is a bad option here, as they've already got a really good arsenal of core heroes. So the 2 heroes that I would love to see against a Lycan in general are not really here. It means that they're going to have to go for something like a disruptor to glimpse back the Lycan. They're going to have to try to find other ways.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't really feel like he can.
It's not a Lycan counter as much as it is just a Necrobook counter, but it ain't bad.
Yeah, I mean it has its merits, but I really feel like
they no longer have a place for it after they pick up Rubik.
I mean, Wraithkin could be #1. You never know with that.
True,
but,
yeah.
It's just. I feel that they need something that controls the Lycan a lot better. If you're going to give Lycan away in a draft, the bottom line is you have to have an answer for it. And right now, Nature's Prophet, as we saw in the last game that they played, can be kind of a pseudo counter, but it's not hardcore. They need a little bit more behind it, and we'll see what that is. For now, though, I mean, they've gotten. Obviously, we know what Lance and DDZ are going to be playing, as well as Shangzai for that matter. So it's all about supports here. Rubik is picked up for the side of Invasion. A lot of supports banned out, and Arrow do have some limited options here. Might actually see the Channer Enchantress on their side instead.
Yeah, I could see maybe an Ancient Apparition as well. Like you got that aura up from the Wraith King, which is some decent healing, and all those sort of Tree Ants and Forge Spirits gonna get that healing as well. So maybe an Ancient Apparition to not only slow the push, but to stop that healing in the midst of the team fights. It's an ability that's a fantastic ultimate and one that Rubik never really gets his hands on, but not a lot of stun to go along with it yet. So if it was going to be Ancient Apparition, it'd have to be him plus another. Can maybe lock him in place. The Skywrath, yeah, hasn't been touched on either side, so I'd probably just expect a Skywrath, maybe an Earthshaker along with it. Pretty potent combo we've been seeing a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to make it work.
Marana Bane.
Yeah, I mean, I like Marana. In this situation, I think it's a really good, flexible hero that can work well. The problem is, like...
What's the problem? You gotta like him.
I mean...
Can't lose.
I like the synergy of push earlier. I think Channer Enchantress would be the way they want to play it. Mozen is a great jungle player in general, so if he can take advantage of that hero, I think it would be ideal. We saw Ghost kind of not fit in the laning stage as a result of the fact that his tier 1 got picked off a little bit early, and although he was able to hold it for some time, at least get level 6 up, it puts more pressure across the map if you can kind of get that combo going. The Shadow Demon, they still could go back to the Channer Enchantress, but the one thing that I really like about Shadow Demon with Lycan is the potential for that Warcraft 3-esque body block. You get the disruption, you surround with wolves, and the disruption illusions as well will kind of create this cage that the Furion can't walk out of. Now, Ghost likes to go for phase boots very early on his Furions, but it's not going to help him for the first few minutes of the game, and that's where it's going to be most prevalent from Arrow. If they get the disruption, they should always get the kill.
Alright, quickly, what's it going to be? Is it going to be Marauder or is it going to be Dazzle? If you're talking body block strategies. I don't know.
I mean, they already got what they need. Lycan and Shadow Demon is really all they need. If they put Death Prophet in the mid lane, they can bring Lycan to the safe, and they've got it covered. But they can follow it up with whatever they want. I would prefer, like I said, Enchantress, but...
Dude, Shadow Demon Enchantress is my shit.
Yeah, it's good.
Started that.
It's good.
So good. People don't expect it. They're like, where's all this damage coming from? It's kind of ridiculous. Even in the early game, and especially with Howl and other wolves as well. So lots of good picks available. Ember Spirit, a hero that I think of as stopping sort of zoo pushing strategy, so it helps a little bit with the Lycan. It's also good lockdown for the Lycan, so there's a little bit of an answer there, right? He tries to run away, you've got that long range gap closer, the Slate of Fist Searing Chains, you can catch up to him and bring him down. The downside is Ember Spirit isn't generally online until like 25 minutes, so you gotta kind of hold on to the game for a while. And it's going to be Nyx Assassin that's scooped up as a support, so Shadow Demon to set it up, the Impale not going to miss, and good hero to deal with both the Invoker, the Nature's Prophet, and of course the Rubik.
So, I think there's a lot of potential there. Obviously, we'll have to see if they can time the Impale well enough following Disruption, things of that nature. But in general, I've seen this combo work very well, and obviously he does have some really cool potential for bringing that Spike Carapace, making things difficult for a couple of the AoE damage sources and such. But yeah, when it comes down to it, I think they really want to kind of reinforce their offensive front-loaded damage potential. Death Prophet can, with just 1 or 2 Crypt Swarms, bring people quite low. As well, the Tide Ravage getting a lot of bursts. So if you follow that up with a Vendetta and Impale, people are going to be dropping quickly. You see Invasion's lineup. The only one that I would really consider a durable hero is the Wraith King. He obviously has 2 lives, has some good strength to him. But the other ones, they have to build tanky if they're going to be able to survive. And obviously that already puts them on the defensive when you're up against a Lycan.
Easy durability, just have 2 lives, right? Also being a strength hero, pretty nice.
Yeah, we might still see the
Aura.
Necronomicon come into play, where you get the mana burn from the Nyx Assassin as well as from the Necro books, and Wraith King might not actually get that second life. So
Yeah,
he,
it's also going to be good against Ember Spirit
yeah,
for the
well,
same thing.
while he doesn't necessarily have to build tanky as far as HP items, he might have to invest in some mana-dependent ones just to get that form of durability. It's weird to say it that way. I mean, usually you look at the only hero that gets durability out of mana to be like a Medusa, maybe a Storm Spirit. But in this case, Wraith King, he really does need to bump up the mana a little bit.
So speaking of Medusa, are they just trying to make her the most OP hero in the game?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Like,
That's
I'm only going to play Medusa like as soon as 6.82 hits.
Diffusal Blade nerfs.
She's already impossible to kill. And now, like, they made Mana Shield even better. Like, Mana Shield stats equals invincibility.
I think the biggest buff to her is the fact that the way the gold change works, where essentially if you invest too much net worth in a single hero, that's going to be a huge comeback mechanic for the team that's behind. But if you put all the net worth on an unkillable hero, you give a Medusa an Aegis and all the stats that she wants, then it's no longer a really big deal. You can make an error and it won't cost you the game. So I think she's going to be more impactful just because of that. But you add in the Mana Burn, you add in the Diffusal Blade, big buffs. But for now, we're not looking at Deuce of Dota. We're looking at Arrow versus Evasion.
We are looking at a pause right now, so
who knows how long those ones go. But no, the Malaysians are usually decent enough about it. Maybe a minute, maybe 2. But generally speaking, not too bad. But I don't know. Who would you say has an advantage here coming out of the draft?
Well, Arrow's got a pretty scary team. They've got some pretty big ultimates. So if they fight, they take the good fights. They're not forced out of their comfort zone by what Invasion is throwing at them. Their draft seems easier to execute, and I would say, I don't want to say better, but easier to execute, and just push down some towers and win yourself a game with some big ultimates. Get up the tower golds, those tower gold items, Tidehunter, Refresher, Death Prophet, just going for the same old, the sort of Yule Scepter mobility build, like and split pushing with a Necro. That being said, if Invasion stay in this game and they keep it close, their late game Rat Dota, very good along with Ghost. We know he's very good at that hero. FZFZ on Ember Spirit, very hard hero to push into once he gets rolling in the mid 20-minute mark of the game. Rubik, obviously fantastic. He can easily steal Ravage. He can easily steal Exorcism, so he's got a lot to offer this game. And then ADTR, we always know the Wraith Kings, if they hold on, even as a support around that 40-minute mark, they can become terrifying. So Arrow, easier to execute. Invasion, if they do execute, I think maybe just a little bit better.
Yeah, it's got to come down to that. I mean, Ghost obviously is impressed with Nature's Prophet play. Maybe some late game decision making could use some improvement, but in general, like his movement across the map, he creates space and he just buys time for a team, even under heavy amounts of pressure. So it might be just enough for the Ember Spirit, the Invoker, to get off the board, but I definitely think that Arrow just outright can take the fights so much simpler. And they obviously have a lot of gank potential. They don't have smokes up just yet, I believe. No. The Metelu was forced to buy all the consumables, all the wards and such, and of course it was Mosin to go for the boots first. But one interesting thing to note is up on the top lane here, the Tide did manage to get a ward off here. Shangzai will be scouting out vision for multiple aspects of this area, and that's going to be pretty huge for him surviving. I mean, if you got a boots first Tide who has enough tangos to sustain as on the Radiant offlane, like this guy almost seems unkillable. But they'll test that theory as they do need to put a lot of emphasis on limiting his early potential.
There you go. I circled the vision. Weird shapes. Because pretty far out into the lane, though, is what I wanted to sort of hint at with that. Keep tabs if anyone extra TP's up there, or if the supports, you know, just rotate off completely. Dire also dropping a ward here at the top rune spawn. Another one pretty defensive here. Was it the Curse of Avernus? The Eye of Avernus ward there, spotting out the Ancients here for the Radiant side. Trying to protect DDZ from those defensive supports rotating down. Not the most damage, but some good disables between them. A couple more levels and, well, pretty good damage as well. You got the potential for the crit, the stun, and the Fade Bolt coming out from Rubik and Wraith King. And not the easiest lane for a Tidehunter, but he's the Radiant side, so he'll at least have the ability to pull this camp over if he needs to for some extra XP. His ward has been dewarded, so all that talk about it was for naught, as it just disappears right now, and it makes Jiangxi's life even harder. And then bottom lane, let's look at Nature's Prophet as an offlaner. His lane, easy for the most part, because Mosin isn't there.
Yeah, he's focusing on stacking primarily. This western camp has been stacked twofold now, so they're going to be able to emphasize a little bit of a DDZ early farm coming out. I mean, I guess technically you could see the Tide Hunter using his anchor special on that. It's actually going to be anchoring okay up on the top lane, but I think it's going to be Crypt Storm down most likely, and that's going to be a nice durability for, obviously, the Death Prophet. ADTR and okay, this is a problem going up against even a Tide at level 2. You just know you have a lot of stuns, you have a decent amount of damage, but you just don't have enough to force him back. He's not afraid of anything, and these little piddly right clicks coming in from the Rubik don't really amount to all that much. So they're going to bait him a little bit further, look for the Searing Chains, and now look to go.
Yeah, he gets the damage reduction off, but there's still that shield that does so much damage to the Flame Guard, so even though they don't have the right clicks, which honestly they don't against Kraken Shield, the magic damage is still there through some of the Fade Bolts, the Wraithfire Blast, and, well, of course the Flame Guard, and that's just going to continue to hurt as you get more levels in that Flame Guard. Tidehunter cannot take that off, like, no matter what.
Oh yeah, no, that's not. I mean, that's not a factor at all. Immolation is just going to persist, but I do think that it's just a matter of positioning. Right now, he's like kind of trying to contest this region when he doesn't have the ward vision that he put down to obviously allow him to do those kind of actions. But he's not playing like it. He's not playing like he got dewarded. He's acting like he knows exactly what Invasion have up their sleeve, and when he walks into it, when he gets hit by that single starting disable, he's in for some trouble. So even now, I feel like although he needs to be in experience range, he shouldn't really be stepping this line as much as he is.
Yeah, well, you can see the nice pull through here from the supports, chaining that together very, very nicely, getting their levels up and already getting that one kill on the offlaner. Level 2 and 2 apiece. Level 2 on MTR here for Arrow on the Nyx Assassin. Still level 1 on the Shadow Demon, though. Mosin playing very, very selfless. Stacking this up, what is that, 3, maybe 4 times there? It stacked a lot. Not working on this camp yet. That one's kind of a pain to stack, especially when it's the satyrs. It's like,
yeah, one thing to mention is
impossible.
That Shadow Demon is a hero that has the potential to, with 1 point in Shadow Poison, stack 3 camps at once. The timings are very finicky on one of the camps, but you can always at least guarantee a 2 camp being stacked every single minute. So there's a lot of potential there, but it's almost never seen as Shadow Poison at level 1. So
not just stacking them, clearing them.
Well,
like,
yeah, but that's...
he can be behind and catch up. Like, it's a flash farming support, honestly, if you allow him to do it with these stacks. But probably the stacks are going to go to DDZ, and Shadow Demon will just be allowed to pick up some of the scraps in terms of the XP that he will split. Let's see if he stacks this. This thing's impossible. He did it about 355.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And he gets it, so maybe I'm just a noob. Well, I'm definitely a noob, but...
Only by comparison, man. But yeah, it is a little bit annoying. You just have to know that it's not like a 52.5 timing like you usually
it's different.
See. It is
depending
55.
On what spawns.
Definitely.
Like if the alpha wolves are there, it's like 56 even.
Yeah, it definitely has some variables there. But DDZ gonna bottle up a haste rune. Already pops it though. That's a very interesting maneuver. He just doesn't want to miss on the experience on the lane. He's gonna get right back to it and try to harass back Ketchikimbo with this next Crypt Swarm. So right click's coming in, knows he's only got 1 point in Quas, you can just check the buff and see that. So he is going to be trying to just keep him off the lane, limit his potential to build up towards the Midas.
Yeah, this lane we haven't really checked out too much, besides noting there was a defensive ward for the Radiant. Actually up top, we're not even getting a good chance, because Zhang Zi's in some trouble, the supports and the Ember. Line up that kill once again. Mosin will go top at level 1, should be careful. But middle lane, DDZ, Death Prophet, 28 and 9, looking at the Invoker, only 14 and 6. He's having trouble staying in this lane against DDZ, and not only is DDZ doing very well, we noted, of course, quite a few times, all of these stacks he's got waiting for him. It's going to be kind of ridiculous how much he's going to get.
They're investing a lot in to try to make sure that he's going to be able to just pull forward for the team. He'll be able to get the big items up, the Yules, perhaps the drums, and make some things happen across the map in general. There is an item build that I was almost thinking I didn't want to talk about a week ago that I came up with, but because of the fact that Death Prophet is so prevalent, and I felt that if they can find a build that makes her even more optimal, that she'd just be unstoppable. But since she's getting nerfed so hard and we probably aren't going to see her in the next metagame, might as well mention the fact that there is a possibility of, instead of going for a mobility-oriented build, if you just build her as an anchor, as like a core hero that could just take all the damage and dish it back out. I actually, instead of going for the phase and the drums, was considering the aspect of going for treads and blade mail. You see blade mail in Nature's Prophet, enhances the right click, it's pretty cool, but if you get it on a hero that needs to be focused when her exosystem is active, there's a lot of potential for enough return damage and enough real frustration coming
Yeah,
out from the
especially against
opposition.
a physical damage dealing team, right? Like, it might not be as good if, you know, it's a Skywrath on the other team that's killing you, but, well, even I guess it still reflects it. But the extra armor you get from Blade Mail is pretty nice, is what I'm getting at. Nyx Assassin will pick off Ghost here, but we're watching DDZ. DDZ is going to be in some trouble. He will throw out the Exorcism display, maybe going to go down for it. Trying to get one more Crypt Swarm, but the right clicks from ADTR is enough. They will get him. Wraithkin kills DDZ, and elsewhere Shadow Demon is going to go ahead and take out the Rubik. That's okay, so he gets the trade there with the Shadow Poison, so Rubik falls. But here comes Kachik Imba looking for the trades. Mosin is almost going to go down, but there's a really good impale there from the Nyx Assassin to keep him up. Ghost is going to TP in, and meanwhile Ember Spirit picks off Lance. Too many kills all over the map, too many to look at. We'll find Lance going down there on that Lycan, and that's Ember Spirit that rotates down off that top lane. He's got Phase Bottle and already another 1,400 gold, close to the drums if he wants it.
Yeah, and in this tempo of a game where you're going to be pushed in if you don't act, this is how you need to play an Ember Spirit. Be mobile, be active, and take advantage of the fact that you have a huge amount of spell damage potential just with a couple points in Searing Chains and with a lot in Flame Guard. So, good movement, good lockdown, and nullifies the fact that the Shapeshift can come out because, of course, he is rooted in place. Very, very smart. But, yeah, Arrow, they still have a lot to show for their early game momentum. Lycan and Death Prophet are taking the 2 of the top 3 slots, and they're neck and neck with that Ember Spirit. So they still have a lot going for them, but we'll have to see if that next Exorcism is a little bit better used. Right now, they've got the invulnerability frames of the Defense of Disruption, but they want the Yules on top. And we're going to see some smoke movement. Looks like it's going to be onto Lance again. He does have Shapeshift, but no, they just make their way back over. They say, DDZ, you're way too far out, man. But he's going to look out. He's going to go top rune spawn, find a haste, and anything that's lurking in the shadows is not going to find him.
And Midas, apparently, he builds up here onto the Death Prophet.
Wow, that's kind of the opposite of what I was going for. But we'll see on top lane that OK is going to be dropped down here. Yeah, not in a good spot there. So I guess Midas for Midas. Obviously, the Invoker will pick one up. Oh, and bottom lane.
Oh my god, there's too much. I just wanted to draw on the map, but I can't do it. There's too much action. Tidehunter gets picked off for the Sunstrike, and now Lance trying to run away, trying to retreat out of here. No Slate of Fist yet, but that was a long Wraithfire Blast, the extra slow, which doesn't do anything because he's in Shapeshift form, but it's enough to keep him in place while FCFC gets the kill. Or no, it's actually Wraith King, I think, that gets the kill. Yeah, he does, with some of that residual damage from the Wraithfire Blast. They're going to translate this right into a push. Ghost, max out Nature's Call. A lot of times you'll see people just leave 3 points and look to reduce the teleportation cooldown, but nope, goes full on Nature's Call as they look to push down this tower. No one coming to its aid except Zhang Zi slowly walking out there on the Tidehunter. Is level 6, does have Ravage. Boots of Speed and about 1,200 gold, so looking for maybe Mana Boots, or yeah, it's going to be Mana Boots. Courier buys it up there at the secret shop, will deliver it, but will it deliver it? FCFZ kind of standing in the path right now as he farms up the jungle.
Yeah, so just kind of moving about, trying to be very efficient, and his gold gains right now topping out the charts and being very relevant there. We haven't seen Ravage come out just yet. As well, the supports are very underleveled, so Arrow has a ton of potential to bounce back once they have the right spells in the right place. But for now, I really commend Invasion's movements across the map. They're definitely taking control and taking charge of the game as they should. And this is going to put more subsequent pressure onto DDZ. He goes for this Midas build, which obviously there is plenty of merit to when the game goes longer, getting a Midas to counteract the one that you're up against. But all the same, we've seen the pros and the cons of this build in the past. We've seen some teams actually be able to build off a ton of items off of this, and others fall flat where they just get bursted down. You don't have the Yules, so you don't have time that you're up in the air. You're an easy focus target is the bottom line. And I think that DDZ has to play very carefully from this point forward and has to have Mosin pretty much always nearby to help him out. They're just really investing a lot in getting him off the ground. All these stacks, the Midas, everything is in order for DDZ to not just get 1 or 2 items, but to build up towards level 16 and get at least 3 or 4 slotted very early on.
Yeah, you can see DDZ, even with all those stacks, with building up the Midas, behind the Invoker net worth. Obviously, Invoker went for his own Midas, as we were just talking about there. Looks like they're going for somewhat of the same build. I think Invoker's going for a Necro first, maybe 4 Staff, as Death Prophet still going back for the Yules, but the real thing here, the problem, or I guess the solution if you're Invasion, is that FCFZ is on top of the net worth without going for any of those items, just pure fighting. He's got his drums finished up with the phase, with the bottle at just 11 minutes, and as he looks to keep farming and finding some more kills all across the map, he's going to be looking to get the Battle Fury before maybe that mid 20-minute mark. So if you can get it earlier, the earlier the better, and that's going to make Invasion very scary. But teamfight breaking out, the first Ravage of the game. Jiang Zi lands on just about everyone. Rubik not able to steal as it's on cooldown. He got Vendetta. Nyx Assassin, though, will be the first to fall in this. Now Lance trying to be focused up here. Rather, he's focusing Kachik Imba, and he will get the kill and then continue to run away. ADTR with another Wraithfire Blast. FCFZ, though, just dancing around this fight here. Johnson all over the place. Picking up a double kill, and he's got, yeah, will cancel the TP. Lance is going to fall, and this is FCFZ potentially just running away with this game by himself. 10-4 right now, Invasion with a 6-kill lead, and that's almost a triple for FC, as Rubik will actually be the one who cleans up the Lycanthrope. Yeah, but that's just insane movements from Invasion and kind of sloppy from Arrow. I mean, they are going into enemy territory without the Death Prophet, the hero that they need to win the fight. DDZ wants to kind of play this 4-distract from one strat where he's the one farming while the rest are fighting, but the bottom line is if you don't get a pick off immediately with your play there with the Nyx Assassin, you're going to be fighting into way too many heroes. Invasion, they're the ones to respond, they're the ones to bring everybody to the fight, and they just put them back in their place. Arrow are shut down 4-10, when I believe that they had a little bit more as far as the early game lineup, but here they are, they just get picked off by that pesky Sentry Ward, and now they're just going to have to 5-man on mid. I mean, they're stronger in the early game if they can find those big 5v5 fights, but it's just been impossible, man. Invasion sort of just dodging it with the jukes, like a mobile lineup, good TPs, obviously, with the Ember and the Nature's Prophet, but here we go, starting off this team fight, a nice defensive disruption where the Meatball is rolling on through, but Death Prophet will get back to real life and then quickly gets chopped down. 11-4, another easy kill for Invasion, and it looks like everyone for Arrow will be able to just retreat behind their towers. Not so much the Wraith King taking some tower hits. Yeah. No, the Shadow Poison was stacked up to 4, and it has been skilled up very heavily by Mosin, so... Yeah, pretty much maxing it. And it's actually pretty impactful that FCFC missed the Syrian Chains there, because there is a possibility that he could have TP'd back to base before the Shadow Poison ended. But because obviously the Syrian Chains didn't connect and FCFC was, or sorry, Mosin was still alive, he was able to obviously manually release it and deal the damage he needed to. So the Wraith King ultimate comes for naught, but they still take the tier 1, they're still going to move towards Roche, and without the Ravage being in a good position, there's very little that can be done. The Ravage is up, the smoke is there, but this is a 3-man movement against all 5, and they won't have any damage from Exorcism or DDZ in general. Or anybody, honestly. Like, they don't have a lot of follow-up damage, maybe if there's a 5-man Crypt Swarm with the Exorcism online, but Exorcism's on cooldown for 30 seconds as mentioned. Ravage just came up, so they're going to look to use it here. They're going to get everybody, but he's stunned up immediately. The Meatball's about to kill him as it rolls through. Another nice defensive disruption, but no one dead yet. It's going to be the Wraith King who will fall first, but Aegis has already been claimed up here by FCFZ, and he's going to get a mega kill. Zoom out here to get all the team fight. Kachik Imba barely alive, as it looks like a Wrath of Nature going to kill some more people. So while this was going on, Wraith King the only one to fall. Lycan pushed down the tier 1 tower top, and he's working on the tier 2, and it looks like he will get it. So pretty much the story of playing against Lycan, like, you're dominating the team fights, you're getting Roche, you're also taking objectives, but Lycan is just basically robbing you. It's another your sheep. Yeah, but I mean, it's tier 2 is an even exchange for a Roshan in my book, and the fact that they lost the fight on top of that, it's just brutal. The Ravages need to count. They need to get some huge kills on Invasion, but they just don't have the damage right now. They went for the Midas, the Lycan's pushing. They don't have anybody to follow up all these amazing disables. I mean, we got Spike Carapace on, I think, 3 heroes there. The Impale was immense. They had, like, Ravage upon mini-Ravage. But they have no damage. They have to like hit Shadow Poison 4 stacks, 5 stacks on everybody in the pit, and it just wasn't possible. So really, Arrow, right now, they're going for plays that'll make some things happen favorably, but they lose so much more in the process, and FCFC is getting immense. Yeah, he's like only 1,000 gold away from his Battle Fury. He's gonna have this thing like 6 minutes faster than average, or at least, I'm not sure what the average is, it might be a little sooner these days, but middle lane tower will fall. Lycan gonna get it, of course, but Sprouted up, he's gonna try to eat through. He's got that value quelling blade, he's gone for the armlet build as well, but the stuns come, they're able to hold him in place. The slight body blocking as well from Ghost. Well played, and they bring down the Lycan and deny their own towers. So, again, Lycan takes a little bit of map control away from them, but doesn't get much else from it, as the gold is halved with the tower deny, and he himself dies. So we're going to see DDZ go Midas into Yules into Mechanism. Not my specific
preference here, but maybe it'll pan out once he finally completes the mech. For now, he's being gone on bottom lane. The Yules ends, and
timing!
The perfect timing of the heal, but still, the Sunstrike hits him. Nail on the head, as he obviously isn't moving during that channel. So, yeah, in the end, he's pushed back from his mechanism once again, and I mean, timing your mech as your third significant item, it doesn't bode well for how much you're going to be able to accomplish as a team. Like, individually, sure, other items can be better, but as a 5-man movement, there's no better item in the game than Mechanism. So, them kind of going for that pseudo-death ball, at least 4 men at a time, them lacking that Mechanism has been really hurting.
Yeah, it's going to make the mech like 4 to 5 minutes late what it could have been if he had just gone for the mech. And the mech also, not the Death Prophet is someone that really builds big damage items. Like the aura is enough to just stay alive and your Exorcism is going to do the work. But the problem with Arrow, their team fight is great. And I thought it would be a little more dangerous than we've seen it be thus far. But none of it's really focused damage. Like legitimately none of it besides I guess Nick's Assassin if he goes on Vendetta on somebody. But you look at Invasion, they've got fantastic burst damage, focus damage, and great AoE damage as well. Like, they really have it all. And, well, we can see that they're quite far ahead, up about 12 kills now as they try to pick off just about everyone. FCFC going to jump onto the back line, start focusing out the support. Slate of Fist won't get it. He's unstoppable right now, steering chains on the back onto Lance. Lance, the Lycan has fallen as well as Zhang Zi uses a fairly defensive Ravage to retreat, but meanwhile ADTR, the support, picking up a double kill. One more slow. This is going to get them both! It's a triple kill for FCFZ on the Ember Spirit. After that, I wouldn't be surprised if they just GG out. That's demoralizing.
It's a difficult one. FCFC is just out of his mind right now. 8-0 and 10 as it's like KDA. Invasion have 22 kills, and 18 of them involve the Ember Spirit. And
so close to 3-2-2.
So many lives. He has a Battle Fury, which makes the Mechanism like feel like it's child's play. Like even though 18 minutes isn't that late for a mech pickup, in the tempo of this game, it's just worlds behind. It's already been rendered obsolete before he even purchases it, and they're taking the racks here. Arrow, they're up against a wall. They don't have anything that they can do. No Ravage for 95 seconds. The bottom lane gone, and they're base in tatters.
FCFZ initiating on like 4 of them by himself, even dropping in his remnants aggressively. ADTR to throw out the stuns. They're looking to Fountain Dive here just 18 minutes after taking a Rax. Can they sustain it though? We'll have to wait and see. FC still has that Aegis. Look at this meatball though. Can't retreat into there. Mosin might die trying to run back in, and yes indeed he will. Godlike for FCFZ. They're actually Fountain Diving at 18 minutes in. Kachik Imbo will be the first to fall as FC responds here from the Aegis. He might slide a fist into the base and kill Lance. Not quite enough damage. They might want to retreat now. They're not in danger of giving up too much because, well, I think they'll be able to retreat. There are legitimately no stuns on the side of Era Gaming that could catch up to them right now. No Ravage. The Shadow Demon's dead. Nick's Assassin is healing in the base, and they'll retreat out losing only, what they lose, a Wraith King and an Invoker as they get that Rax, win a couple team fights 5-0.
Yeah, some great movement across the board there, and it's just going to be difficult. Is I think the understatement of the century for kind of pushing forward from this. Losing the racks, being this demoralized, and just feeding this Ember so darn hard. It's where do they go wrong is the question, but it's got to be those early skirmishes. They didn't fight with their anchor. They didn't fight with DDZ a couple of different times. And then when they got him, he didn't have the items that they needed him to have.
Yeah, the items was a big deal.
In order to accomplish. So it's about a little bit about underestimating their opponents. They moved in and thought that they could engage on Invasion, catching them off guard when it was actually a turnaround of sorts. And then, yeah, DDZ only now, I would say, is in a position where he is extremely relevant. But it almost seems like it's too little too late. This Ember Spirit has 3k gold on top of his Battle Fury, Treads, Wand, and Face. Or sorry, I meant to say drum instead of Treads. But nevertheless, just this massive net worth pool at only 20 minutes time. And that's not to count the fact that they have yet to kill him.
Yes, involved in 19 of 23 kills, hasn't died, has got 100 CS, 11.4k net worth. In second place, it's Kachik Imba on the Invoker at 9.6, and then with all the attention that DDZ was given, the sacrifices that the supports made, as we can see, they're very, very down there in the net worth. 3.2 on the Nyx and only 2k on the Shadow Demon. DDZ is only sitting in third at 9.4k gold, and his items are a little questionable with the Midas. Still sitting on the Boots of Speed, maybe looking to upgrade that into Boots of Travel, but pretty soon he won't have anywhere to travel to, as the middle tier 2 tower is about to fall pretty much without being contested by Arrow. They've got all their abilities up right now. The Ravage, let's look at okay. He's got a Blink Dagger. He wants to steal that Ravage. Let's see if he can. He's going to go for it. Does he get it? He gets how? I think it was already on cooldown, yeah. But look at this Meatball Deafening Blast on everybody. 3 people dying right now. DDZ trying to get back to the base. The zippity zap from FZ, the defensive Yule Scepter, but will fall. Buyback from Tide. The GG coming out from Lance here at 21.5 minutes. 28-6 the score, and I don't know what happened. The early game did not go very well. Invasion. I like the draft a little bit. I didn't think they would roll out this fast, but well played, Invasion.
Most definitely. I have to say that, I mean, the amount of investment they put on to DDZ just didn't pan out. They didn't get the return of interest on Mosin, literally sitting at level 1 for the first 4 minutes of the game stacking creeps. Like, they were trying to accomplish a lot by investing a ton into this one core hero, which could just explode at around like the 20-minute mark with the Midas build up, with all these major items, but he was the team needed to fight. And then when they tried to fight without him, it just was an absolute disaster. Just racking up the deaths, feeding the Ember Spirit, and suddenly it's just completely out of their hands. So it was really well played from Invasion, but I have to think that Arrow need to look back at this replay and think, okay, where did we need to be at this point in time? Was this the right movement? And if not, how can we avoid them in the future? Because that was very, very hard to watch. Arrow, they were lacking direction. They need to really get their stuff together to move forward in this scene, but at least for now, Invasion, they take a nice spirited win after their difficult defeat against Immunity earlier.
Yeah, losing while ahead in Golden XP in that game, losing to Immunity, but I think honestly, it was Ember Spirit was such a key hero here. Like, that's a big part of it. So you can look back at the draft and say, all right, well, maybe if we want to do this next time, we ban Ember. Like, at no point during this game were they ever going to bring down Flame Guard. Like, I guess Death Prophet, but in the team fights, hard to land 2 or 3 Crypt Swarms. And clearly, not only was Ember played well, but he was a perfect